for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You already give me time to think.
The members will answer the roll call by indicating their presence on the electronic voting board. The clerk shall close the roll.
Madam Speaker, a quorum is present.
Pursuant to House Rule 3, I have examined and approved the journal for the House of Delegates for Saturday, March 7th, 2020. Motions and resolutions under Rule 39, pursuant to the provisions of Rule 40, are now in order. The clerk shall announce the first morning hour order of business, including any clerk's announcements or communications.
First morning hour order of business. Madam Speaker, I have a couple of announcements. One, obviously, conference reports need to get done. Two, on a more session-related issue, if you all could clean out your desks before Thursday, because during the interim, other people use this room, and you don't necessarily want them going through your desks. So if you could clean them out and under your desk. Thank you. And presentation copies of memorial and commending resolutions will be put in your offices in the Pocahontas building for pickup at the reconvened session.
The House will be at ease. Members are away on pressing personal business and are granted leaves from today's session. Delegate Collins, Converse Fowler, and Corey. The clerk will please announce the next order of business.
Second morning hour order of business. The next order of business is the announcement of member requests to move legislation from any uncontested to regular calendar. There are no such items.
The clerk shall announce the next order of business.
Third morning hour order of business. The next order of business is the announcement of member requests for legislation to go by for the day. There are no such items.
The clerk shall announce the next order of business.
Fourth morning hour order of business. The next order of business is recognition of member requests for points of personal privilege. Please use your request to speak button to be recognized.
The clerk will please call the calendar.
House calendar for March 8. Page 2 of the calendar, House Bill 4.
The delegate from Fairfax County, Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, rise for motion.
Delegate Simon, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, can this bill go by temporarily so that we can get everybody who wants an opportunity to vote to be here so when this bill comes up?
All those in favor of Delegate Simon's motion to go by temporarily on HB 4 shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, HB 4 will go by temporarily.
Page 10 of the calendar, House Bill 375.
The delegate from Enrico, Delegate Willett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 375 is the forced arbitration bill that has been in conference report not once but twice now. The Senate rejected our original proposal, which was a shorter version. We're now back to a longer version, which they've actually just approved. I hope it be the will of the body to approve it as well. Thank you.
And Madam Speaker, this is a second conference committee report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 61, nays 34, abstentions 0.
Ayes 61, nays 34, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 19 of the calendar, House Bill, second conference committee report for House Bill 785.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 785, Second Committee Report, has dealt with the specificity that would have required a vote for special legislation. Generically, it deals with the situation that has arisen in the agreement over the historic triangle. Therefore, I hope it will be the pleasure of the body to again support this bill, which gives more equalized powers to counties that have been enjoyed by cities and taxing since the 1930s.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 56, nays 38, abstentions 1.
Ayes 56, nays 38, abstentions 1. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 19 of the calendar, second conference committee report on House Bill 798.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is the second conference report, and I'll speak to that.
Delegate Delaney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. All right, so this is the non-retaliation bill that left this body, as I described yesterday. It left the body in the form of a bill simply dealing with non-retaliation, if you see that your employer is conducting an illegal activity or asking you to conduct an illegal activity, you can refuse to do that or report them to proper authorities without risk of being fired. That bill passed this body 76-22. It went to the Senate. The amendments that are currently before us, they add that if the employee refuses to perform an action that violates state or federal law, when it is a known violation of state or federal law. The original version said when the employee suspects that it's a violation. This is when it is a violation. It protects disclosure. The original bill had data protected by law. This adds an illegal privilege in addition to data protected by law, and then it clarifies that the employee can be awarded reasonable attorney's fees and costs. This was the bill that had added a class action provision that we determined last night was not germane, so the second conference committee report has removed that. So we are back to the original purpose of this bill, which is to prohibit retaliatory action against employers, and with a few what I see as friendly amendments to make the bill a little better, and I move its passage.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 65, nays 28, abstentions 1.
Ayes 65, nays 28, abstentions 1. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 24 of the calendar, second conference committee report on House Bill 896.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Sickles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, members of the body. I'm happy to report I think the Fairfax delegation is together finally on this bill, and we are now going to be clean gambling because Virginia sports will not be allowed to be betted on in Virginia. So I have 40 people that tried to prevent that, but that's not enough. So we're back together here on the back row. And the Senate, who was absolutely livid about this, by the way, insisted that the tax rate be reduced from 17.5 to 15. So those are the two changes: no Virginia sports and a lower tax rate. And I move the passage of the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 59, nays 35, abstentions 0.
Ayes 59, nays 35, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 26 of the calendar, House Bill 1023.
The delegate from Pennsylvania, Delegate Adams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1023 is legislation to require the police interrogations be recorded at places of detention. This was initially rejected by this House when the Senate placed the finance clause on it, but the conference report removes the finance clause, and that was accomplished by an amendment that allowed an exemption from the Virginia State Police encryption requirements for storage that they are otherwise required to observe in other settings. But this would place the state police on the same footing as other law enforcement agencies, thereby eliminating any fiscal impact. And so I therefore wish that it would be the will of the body that we pass the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 96, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 96, nays 0, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 28 of the calendar, second conference committee report on House Bill 1056.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Adams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1056, second committee of conference, expanded the legislative makeup so that instead of 4 and 2 is 5 and 3, and there would be a majority of both sides before policy recommendations occurred. I hope it be the will of the body to pass the second committee conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 64, nays 29, abstentions 0.
Ayes 64, nays 29, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 29 of the calendar, House Bill 1184.
Delegate from Arlington, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This bill on distributed energy generation is the product of working with business, the solar industry, and the environmental and renewable energy activists and advocates. It's been conformed with Senator McClellan's distributed energy bill that we passed yesterday. I hope that we pass the bill, or accept the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 53, nays 41, abstentions 0.
Ayes 53, nays 41, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 43 of the calendar, second conference committee report on House Bill 1552.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Levine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is again the tethering bill. I know this body thinks you voted on it. You did. You voted on the first version. This is the second version, the one that takes out the local option. I move, hope it be the will of the body to pass the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 53, nays 42, abstentions 0.
Ayes 53, nays 42, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 47 of the calendar, Senate Bill 7.
The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the conference report.
Delegate Ward, you have the floor.
Yes, I ask that we accept the conference report. It's what we just voted on, which would increase the minimum wage in incremental ways. On the first would be for $9.50 the first year, $11 the next year, and then 12 in 2023, and then we'll have that break, as everyone had wanted, to study it before we began to pick up and reach $15 in the year of 2026. I ask that you accept the committee report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 48 of the calendar, Senate Bill 36.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Knight.
Madam Speaker, Senate Bill 36 is the same as House Bill 4, which is the casino bill. I explained they're exactly the same, of course. This is a conference report. So to kind of highlight a couple of the things that are in the bill, this is for economically depressed cities, 5 throughout the Commonwealth: Bristol, Danville, Portsmouth, Norfolk, and Richmond. This is to try to create jobs there, spur some economic activity, try to help the economic vitality of those localities, and still add maybe $150 million to the state coffers. We've gone, as I said yesterday, a $300 million minimum investment. Our first tax rate is to $200 million. which is 18%, between 2 and 400 million, which is 23%. Anything over 400 million is 28%. In here is a component for the historical racing machines. New machines, a total of 2,000, no more than 1,650 in one location with a 20% tax rate. Also, as allowing this, we understand historical racing. The reason we allowed this is so we could try to continue to expand our agriculture industry and our horse racing industry. So for every 100 historical racing machines that is approved, the horse racing industry is going to apply for another day of horse racing. That could give them potentially 20 more days of horse racing. And Madam Speaker, this bill, what it does is establishes the parameters of what we would do if we had a host city that passed a referendum. This piece of legislation allows these 5 cities the opportunity to have a referendum so the citizens of the locality can decide for themselves if they would like a casino in their city with the investigations, background checks, everything done through the lottery board. Madam Speaker, I move the House pass the conference report.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Bourne.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the delegate from Virginia Beach yield for a question?
Will the delegate yield?
Madam Speaker, I'll yield.
The delegate yields.
Madam Speaker, I would ask the delegate to clarify or confirm that he said the bill provides that there could be no more than 1,600 machines in any one single location.
Delegate Knight.
Yes, sir. Under the old 3,000 machines that we approved a couple of years ago, there was a maximum of 3,000, no more than 700 in what's classified as a major market. This new legislation says no more than 2,000 with no more than 1,650 in one major market location.
Delegate Bourne.
Would the delegate yield for an additional question?
Will the delegate yield?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Delegate Bourne.
Madam Speaker, I would ask the delegate to refresh my recollection that there were some protections for, I guess, saturating a particular market with the historical horse racing machines. And I believe as folks were helping me get up to speed on it earlier on in the session, that was a 30-mile radius around any location that currently had historical horse racing machines. Is that provision, are those protections still in the bill or applicable today?
I'll answer it 2 ways. I don't know if you're misunderstanding. There is a 35-mile radius around every area that's going to have a casino, except for the Bristol area, which is going to have a larger radius in their transportation district. Those exclusions are still in place, if that is what the gentleman was asking me.
Madam Speaker, would the delegate yield for one final question?
Will the delegate yield?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I would first say to the delegate that I appreciate him clarifying my confusion, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Madam Speaker, I would ask the delegate, through earlier on in the legislative process, the chairman of the Appropriations Committee and other members really stressed the importance of making sure that everyone had an opportunity to participate in potential opportunities to develop these casinos, most particularly minority communities, black investors, black contractors, and making sure that these opportunities really are reflective of the communities that they're going to represent. And so I just want to make sure that what I heard him present the bill yesterday, that those provisions are in fact in the bill.
Delegate Knight.
Madam Speaker, the gentleman is absolutely correct. For any proposer that would propose to an eligible host city that they would like to develop a casino in there, that host city, in conjunction with help from the state, if asked for from the locality, shall, as a requirement, look at the minority that applies in the application. That is going to be given preference to the proposer. So if someone wants to have a casino in a particular city, they're going to look at that. In addition to that, then every construction worker, every service person that works in the casino, whether they're dealing blackjack or they're sweeping the floors or any supplier in there, with the caveat they've got to be over $500,000 contract. If it's a subcontract, all of those will be given preference to women-owned, veterans, and minority status as classified in the code, which the very first classification in the minority status in the code is African Americans.
Delegate Bourne.
Madam Speaker, I would simply thank the delegate for his patience with me.
Thank you. Thank you. The delegate from Roanoke, Delegate McNamara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
Delegate McNamara, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For the past couple years, I've heard really bipartisan from both sides of the aisle how much money that this is going to generate. And while there may be some less than desirable aspects to expanding gambling, that we need the money in the Commonwealth. We need the money for transportation. We need it for education and so forth, and whatever else we decide we need the money. But I would like to point out, let's say the $150 million is a one-year increased revenue. One-year increased revenue if it's $150 million a year, which I think that is the projection, if we look at our general fund, that's 10% of the increase that we experienced in the past single year. If we look at our total Virginia budget, it is about 1% of the total biennium increase, actually 2% of the total biennium increase that we're experiencing right now. So if this is going to be the answer to pay for the rest of the things we want to pay for, I would suggest it is not. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The delegate from Powhatan, Delegate Ware.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speak to the bill.
Delegate Ware, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and members of the body. We've heard a very able description of a fairly complex bill, and there are a number of distressed cities and areas that have labored very hard to make this a comprehensive and thoughtful piece of legislation. They are hoping to see some economic development out of it, and I don't think there's a person in this body that is not supportive of the desire of strengthening the economies of some of the places that are included here. But I'd like to just take a moment and ask us to step back and take a look at a bigger picture of where we are rather than simply this piece of legislation. This year we have passed tax increases. We've passed bills that I'm convinced will increase power bills. We've authorized quite a number of different items in these areas. And I want to bring your attention to the fact that this 74-page bill has 8 enactment clauses. I'm sure you've all read with care those bold print clauses and all that's in them. But I would remind you of comments that my colleague in the Lee caucus mentioned yesterday, and that is the fact that a couple of years ago we voted on historic horse racing. And I am among a number of you, I've heard on both sides of the aisle, that have regretted that. I want to see the horse industry flourish in Virginia. But I think we went the wrong way with that. We're authorizing 2,000 new machines in this piece of legislation, among other things. I would take a look very carefully at Enactment Clause 7 if you have a minute as this debate goes on. I had somebody suggest that we are opening Pandora's box. We use metaphors because they express things, and if you have time, again, you might look up online what Pandora's box was. Having said that, I recognize the seriousness of this effort, the amount of energy and thought that's gone into it, but I wanted to say why I cannot, at this point, support it, and I hope we'll think carefully as we cast our vote.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Knight.
Madam Speaker, speaking to the
Delegate Knight,
report,
you have the floor.
I'd like to clarify something. This is not totally about state tax dollars. That's an added benefit. What this is about is adding 5 depressed localities that are fleshed out by their non-taxable amount of land, their poverty rate, the people living below the poverty, the unemployment rate. What this is going to do is add millions of dollars to the tax coffers directly of these 5 depressed cities if their referendum passed, but it's going to create jobs so these people can lift themselves up. These people are going to be paid the local prevailing wage as in the Davis-Bacon Act. They're also going to be guaranteed a minimum of 125% of the poverty level. So this is not so much about this fantastic sum of $150 million or more in the state coffers. It's about tens of millions of dollars that go to the locality and about creating jobs and let people help themselves. Madam Speaker, I move passage of the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to?
Just gonna go back to the days before I figure it out.
The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 59, nays 35, abstentions 0.
Ayes 59, nays 35, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Madam Speaker, the Senate has requested a second committee of conference on the following legislation. Senate Bill 203.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House accede to the request of the Senate for a second committee of conference on the previously reported legislation.
Shall the delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring's motion be in favor, be adopted? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the motion is adopted.
Madam Speaker?
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Could we go at ease for just a second?
House will be at ease.
Of the calendar, Senate Bill 54.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May this go by temporarily.
All those in favor of SB 54 going by temporarily shall say aye. Those opposed, SB 54 goes by temporarily.
Page 49, Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 94.
The delegate from Fairfax, the delegate from Loudoun, Delegate Reed.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 94 is the same as House Bill 714, which we approved the conference report for that for yesterday. They have acceded to the legislation that we had passed, so I would move that we adopt this conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 50, Senate Bill 183.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate McQuinn.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 183 is identical to my bill. It was the compromise of the monument bills between the two bodies. And again, it provides locality, the ability for local governing bodies to remove, relocate, contextualize, or cover war monuments or memorial after publishing notice and then having a public hearing. So I hope it be the pleasure of the body to pass the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 53 of the calendar, Second Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 272.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Levine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is the cognate to the bill that we just voted on tethering. I promise this is the last time I'll ask you to vote for the bill. No local option.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 51, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 51, nays 44, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 54 of the calendar, Senate Bill 286.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, SB 286 is now the cognate of my bill on deferred dispositions, which I believe passed out of here on an almost party line vote. I would ask that it pass.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 53, nays 42, abstentions 0.
Ayes 53, nays 42, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 56, Second Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 384.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Sickles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the House, SB 384 is the cognate of the mobile sports app bill that we just passed a few minutes ago, and I would encourage the body to vote for this good bill.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 58, nays 34, abstentions 0.
Ayes 58, nays 34, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 56, Senate Bill 392.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Askew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the conference report.
Delegate Askew, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 392 is the K-12 lead testing bill. The conference report made small technical amendments, since remove with and replace it with ask the body to accept the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 94, nays 1, abstentions 0.
Ayes 94, nays 1, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 56, Senate Bill 393.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Askew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the conference report.
Delegate Askew, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 393 is the Senate cognate to my House Bill 799 that we accepted the conference report yesterday. Asked the body to accept this conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 96, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 96, nays 0, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 57, Senate Bill 423.
The delegate from Fredericksburg, Delegate Cole.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 423 is just simply covering hearing aids for children under the age of 18, and the conference report just simply changed this back to the original Senate bill. So I would ask that we pass the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 91, nays 2, abstentions 0.
Ayes 91, nays 2, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 58, Senate Bill 433.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, I have a motion.
Delegate Simon, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, I move we take this bill by temporarily.
All those in favor of SB 433 going by temporarily shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, SB 433 goes by temporarily.
Page 60, Second Conference Committee Report on Senate Bill 575.
The delegate from Montgomery, Delegate Hurst.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, Senate Bill 575 is merely the cognate to my bill that passed out of the body yesterday, the conference report. Remember, this has to deal with the prescription monitoring program and access for emergency departments. The Senate wanted to have health plan access. That is no longer in the bill, so it is just for emergency departments. I hope it would be the pleasure of the body to accept the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 96, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 96, nays 0, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 61, Senate Bill 576.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Sickles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the House, Senator Howe's bill is also the Virginia Innovation Partnership Authority that's created. I explained yesterday how this conference report only changed board memberships and no politicians involved in this board at all. And so it's good to go, and I hope you'll put up a green vote on SB 576.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 88, nays 7, abstentions 0.
Ayes 88, nays 7, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 61, Second Conference Committee Report on Senate Bill 588.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 588 is Senator Hanger's bill, and given our years of service, I would say it is the carbon copy with whiteout of our bill to relieve the real estate tax on counties. I hope it will be a pleasure to accept the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 57, nays 38, abstentions 1.
Ayes 57, nays 38, abstentions 1. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 62, Senate Bill 593.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I explained this bill yesterday. This has to do with securing firearms in family day homes. I move passage of the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 53, nays 43, abstentions 0.
Ayes 53, nays 43, abstentions 0. The conference report is adopted.
Page 62, Senate Bill 612.
The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what this conference report dealt with was the establishment of the historical statues in the United States Capitol to discuss the replacement of the Robert E. Lee statue. And what the conference committee decided was the makeup of that commission. And so I ask that we accept the conference committee's report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0. The conference report is adopted.
Page 62, Senate Bill 629.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, I rise for a motion.
Delegate Simon, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, can SB 629 go by temporarily?
All those in favor of SB 629 going by temporarily shall say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, SB 629 goes by temporarily.
Page 63, Senate Bill 707.
The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Yes, Madam Speaker. This bill dealt with the establishment of a Bill of Rights for tenants and for landlords. And all that bill does, all the committee decided was to strip off that clause, but everything else remains the same. So I ask that you accept conference committee report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 55, nays 40, abstentions 0.
Ayes 55, nays 40, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 63, Senate Bill 710.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Keane.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to move that we accept the conference report and speak to that motion.
Delegate Keane, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a jobs bill, and specifically solar jobs. As you heard yesterday and throughout the session, this bill and my companion, House Bill 572, would create more solar opportunities for both homes, residences, small businesses and others, and create lots of jobs. And since it's a solar bill, I would say that this and my bill, which passed 62 to 35, have no sunshine in between the two, so hope that you'll all be able to support this. Have a nice day.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 61, nays 32, abstentions 1.
Ayes 61, nays 32, abstentions 1. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 64, Senate Bill 731.
The delegate from Richmond City,
Madam
Delegate
Speaker,
Bourne.
could this bill go by temporarily?
All those in favor of SB 731 going by temporarily shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, SB 731 will go by temporarily.
Page 65, Senate Bill 740.
Delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Lindsay.
Madam Speaker, I'm going to move the conference report, and if I could speak to that point.
Delegate Lindsay, you have the floor.
SB 740 was a bill that allowed for, just want to make sure, 740 allowed for the registrars to be able to tweak the lines of various Senate districts, House districts, and local election districts. It has to be done on July 1st of each year that ends in 1, and it has to be a situation where we're looking to keep it within the whole boundaries of the city. The conference report In the conference report, the Senate accedes to the House position as it was related and passed out of the Privileges and Election Committee with the substitute. Move the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 91, nays 4, abstentions 0.
Ayes 91, nays 4, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 65, Senate Bill 793.
The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Lindsay.
Madam Speaker, SB 793, the conference report actually makes the measure comport with that which was sent out of the House that based on the House amendment. And in that respect, it excludes certain persons from consideration in this review of parole by the parole board. I move the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 52, nays 42, abstentions 0.
Ayes 52, nays 42, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 66, Senate Bill 880.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate McQuinn.
Thank you, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there was some. I want to move the conference report.
Delegate McQuinn.
And just speak a moment on the difference. There was a difference in terms of the ratio between student and counselors, and now that bill has been conformed to my bill, and once again, I move that we accept the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 81, nays 14, abstentions 0.
Ayes 81, nays 14, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 66, Senate Bill 888.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate McQuinn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Senate Bill 888 is a bill that it's asking for, relating to the Commission on School Construction and Modernization. It was the Commission, there was a difference in terms of the proportionality issue, and so it has been corrected. So I move that, I hope that it be the will of the body to accept the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 89, nays 5, abstentions 0.
Ayes 89, nays 5, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 67, Senate Bill 890.
The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Jones.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the House, Senate Bill 890 is identical to House Bill 1414, which is our broad transportation omnibus bill, including the funding mechanisms that I discussed yesterday. This has the electronic fuel vehicle fee in here as well, and the regional fuels taxes for all parts of Virginia. I would urge you to check your vote, but I would also move adoption of the conference report.
Shall the conference?
Madam Speaker?
The delegate from Spotsylvania, Delegate Cole.
Would the gentleman yield for a question?
Will the delegate yield? The delegate yields.
If he could, Ms. Speaker, I would like to get a little more detail on what we're charging the electric vehicles as far as, because obviously they don't pay gas tax. So how are we recouping funds for the transportation fund from them?
Delegate Jones.
Madam Speaker, I would say to the delegate that the annual fee for electronic vehicles would be based on 85% of the fuel tax paid by the average vehicle, and DMV would be directed to establish a voluntary mileage-based user fee program for vehicles that drive less than the average vehicle by 2022.
Follow up?
Delegate Cole. Will the delegate yield?
I yield.
Delegate yields.
So it sounds to me like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, sounds to me like we're setting a baseline of 85% of what the average fuel tax would have been for the average driver. However, we're going to allow electric car owner vehicles go below, pay less than that if they swear to DMV that, hey, I drive fewer miles, and then it'll be based on miles driven.
Delegate Jones.
Madam Speaker, I would say to Delegate Cole, I think that's correct. I was trying to stay with your interpretation, but again, DMV is in control of this process. Commissioner Holcomb has assured us that when we're doing this annualized process, they will be able to monitor and check and calibrate how many miles the vehicle is driven should it fall below that number.
All right.
Delegate Cole.
Thank you.
Shall the conference report, delegate from Fauquier, Delegate Weber.
Would Delegate Jones yield for a question?
Will the delegate yield?
I yield. Okay.
Delegate Weber.
So I'm just trying to wrap my head around the electric vehicle thing again. So if it's 85% of what the average vehicle is, and our cars are getting more and more fuel efficient, which is why our fuel tax is a depreciating tax, would that 85% start high and then over the years go down?
Delegate Jones.
Madam Speaker, I would say to the delegate, I believe that is right, and I will tell you that as we sort of embarked on this process several months ago to restructure our transportation funding, it's because of that exact fact, that our cars are becoming more efficient, they're driving longer, they have better fuel efficiency, and so we're trying to sort of equalize this process while understanding that we're trying to bring all of our funding into one pot and one pool to make it easier and cleaner for the state to move forward as it adopts these transportation initiatives to make us the best place for transportation in the 21st century.
Delegate Weber.
I thank the gentleman.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 51, nays 42, abstentions 0.
Ayes 51, nays 42, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 68 of the calendar, Senate Bill 905.
The delegate from Petersburg. Delegate from Petersburg. Delegate Aird.
Madam Speaker, may this bill go by temporarily?
All those in favor of SB 905 going by temporarily shall say aye. Those opposed, SB 905 goes by temporarily.
Page 68, Senate Bill 907.
The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Jones.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the House, Senate Bill 907 is identical to my House Bill 1439, which this body passed overwhelmingly yesterday. It is our safety provisions for the transportation, which makes seatbelts a primary offense with the training and education programs, the delayed enactment, and it's also got the reduced speed limits. I would also note for the body that the Senate did reject this bill yesterday, and I would appreciate if we move the adoption of this conference report because I do think it sends a statement of our values that this body, this chamber, is committed to transportation safety across the Commonwealth.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 49, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 49, nays 44, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 68, Senate Bill 939.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the bill?
Delegate Guzman, you have the floor.
Oh, speaking to the conference report. Senate Bill 939 is identical to the conference report that passed this House yesterday for House Bill 582. As I explained yesterday, this will allow localities to opt in to allow their employees for bargain collectively, and it will include school board employees as well, and localities will have 120 days to act on this ordinance or resolution, and I'll move that we pass the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 51, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 51, nays 44, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 68, Senate Bill 957.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Bulova.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, Senate Bill 957 deals with the Commission on Civic Education. The original bill repealed the sunset clause. When it got to the House, we decided to increase the membership from 15 to 17 and then reduce the number of legislative members, primarily because while they had good turnout and robust discussion, legislative members were a hindrance to achieving a quorum. The Senate agreed to the House position. Senate agreed to the House position, and that's what's reflected in the conference report, and I'd ask that we accept it. Thank you.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 93, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 93, nays 0, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 69, Senate Bill 990.
The delegate from Botetourt, Delegate Austin.
Madam Speaker, members of the body, Senate Bill 990 is the governor's new airline incentive fund. It's the cognate of my House Bill 1602, and I would ask that we pass the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 82, nays 12, abstentions 0.
Ayes 82, nays 12, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 69, Senate Bill 994.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Senate Bill 994 deals with certain changes to the board of the Virginia Military Institute. Importantly, House Bill 913 left this body exempting, in the conference report, exempting the Virginia Military Institute from the same amnesty and reporting standards that apply to every other institution of higher education in the Commonwealth with respect to sexual violence reporting. While this conference report doesn't quite get to where we would like it to be, it does require VMI to adopt standards that would help eliminate sexual violence at VMI and in the military, and I hope it is the will of the body to pass it.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 91, nays 4, abstentions 0.
Ayes 91, nays 4, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 69, Senate Bill 1023.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to yield to my friend from Manassas, Delegate Carter.
The delegate from Manassas, Delegate Carter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the body, this is the third of 3 strip search bills. This is the bill that ended up being the vehicle for all the visitor intake provisions. This bill not only prohibits the strip searching of minors at our state correctional facilities, it also closes several loopholes that were allowing some people to be unjustly denied visitation with their loved ones. This requires that if someone submits to a strip search, if an adult submits to a strip search and no contraband is found, that they be given a visitation that includes contact with their loved one, and it also prohibits the Department of Corrections from permanently denying anybody future visitation for refusal to consent to a strip search, and it includes a provision whereby if someone does not consent to a strip search on a drug detector dog hit, that they be given a non-contact visit with a pane of glass in between where there's no opportunity to pass things back and forth. That non-contact visit is not required for people who get a hit on a magnetometer and may be concealing a weapon. So I hope that it will be the will of the body to accept the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 91, nays 4, abstentions 0.
Ayes 91, nays 4, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 70, Senate Bill 1040.
Delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, Senate Bill 1040, as it came from the Senate, would allow Winchester to offer compensation to their appointed school board members. When it came to the House decided to make it so that way all appointed and elected school boards could pay as they see necessary. Since then, there have been some concerns about the long-term fiscal impacts to SOQs with the prevailing costs associated in that funding model. So before you, the conference report before you refers back to the just Winchester model. So I hope it be the pleasure of the body to accept the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 81, nays 10, abstentions 0.
Ayes 81, nays 10, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 70, Senate Bill 1075.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, speaking to the conference report.
Delegate Lopez.
SB 1075 from Senator McClellan provides improved notice and time for residents to engage in the process for the permitting of local utility-based or polluting projects proposed to Virginia's Air Board. This is especially important in light of unique challenges faced by rural and low-income minority communities where these projects are more often than not built. I hope that it's the will of the body to approve the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to?
Abstention 0.
Ayes 81, nays. The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 56, nays 39, abstentions 0.
Ayes 56, nays 39, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to.
Page 71, Senate Joint Resolution 38.
The delegate from Loudoun, Delegate Reed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Joint 38 is Senator Cosgrove's bill, which would create a joint commission on which would create a study for the Joint Commission on Technology and Science to study the safety, quality of life, economic consequences of weather and climate-related events on the coastal areas of Virginia. This conference report simply removes the clause from their joint resolution, so I would move that the House adopt the conference report.
Shall the conference report be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 79, nays 13, abstentions 0.
Ayes 79, nays 13, abstention 0. The conference report is agreed to. The House will be at ease. The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 60, nays 35, abstentions 0.
Ayes 60, nays 35, abstentions 0. The conference report is agreed to. The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, if we could stand at ease.
The House will be at ease. The House will come to order. The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Keem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a motion, please.
Delegate Keem, you have the floor.
Having voted on the prevailing side, by which we adopted the conference report to Senate Bill 710, I'd ask that we reconsider that vote so that members can be consistent with their votes on the companion bill. That's on page 63, Madam Speaker.
All those in favor of Delegate Keem's motion to reconsider SB 710
Madam Speaker?
On page 63. Yes.
Hold on, inquiry.
I'm talking slow.
Okay. Thank you.
All those in favor of Delegate Keem's motion to reconsider SB 710 on page 63 shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. SB 710 will be reconsidered. Shall the conference report be agreed to on the board? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 60, nays 31, abstentions 1.
Ayes 60, nays 31, abstentions 1. The conference report is agreed to. The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand for a motion.
Delegate Herring, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until 12:50. And if I could speak to that motion. 2:50. 2:50.
Delegate Herring.
And if I can...
Delegate Herring.
All right. So what the plan now is that we'll break for 2 hours, and we will all work on our conference reports to try to get more in. And at 3 o'clock, the plan is to start into the procedural resolution for judges and the SEC position. And then we'll continue on with our conference reports on voting on those. So that's the plan, Madam Speaker.
All those in favor of Delegate Herring's motion to recess until 2:50 shall say aye. Those opposed, the House will stand in recess until 2:50.